All right. Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for August 31st, 2018, Labor Day weekend. It's a big time for almost everybody. And thank you very much for being involved. And I've got one extra audio source. Hopefully it's not looping for you guys. You're not hearing a loop, are you?
Nope, it's good.
Okay, let me see if I can see what I can mute myself over here. So let's go around quick and introduce ourselves, starting with Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew Barnes. I am a service management architect at Novant Health, a client, and I've been on the platform for about 4 years, and super excited to start the holiday weekend here with you guys doing live code.
And Todd.
And I am Todd Volpe, systems analyst down at South Florida Developer Meetup. And I've been on the platform for about 3 years.
And I'm Dave Slusher, developer advocate with ServiceNow in the developer program, developer.service.now, ding. And I didn't forget to do my intro this time. Before we get too far, let us make a big time announcement. We were joking earlier that this is kind of like the time, late on a Friday and a holiday weekend is where you put news you're trying to bury.
Take out the trash day.
Yeah, exactly. So as of next week, Andrew is going to join this team. He is going to be my partner in crime and is going to be the other developer advocate on this team. So welcome to Andrew.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. I'm super excited to move and make your team a team again.
Yeah, it's sort of a solo dance for a long time now, but this is big stuff. I actually wanted to announce it at the top so people could congratulate Andrew in the chat, as opposed to at the end when there's no time. So
Congratulations.
This is not merely a live coding session. This is a celebration. So cheers,
Cheers,
everybody.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
And in the context of cheers, let's discuss what we're cheersing with.
Yeah.
We'll start with the celebrant, Andrew.
All right. I am having a Allagash Curio. It is this is a golden ale in bourbon barrels.
All right. And Todd?
All right. I've got a local funky Bruda. This is the Floridian Hefeweizen.
Interesting. And I've got Folded Mountains Pale Ale. I'm told that Todd's boss, was it your boss that was scoffing at my Rolling Rock? I'm gonna stand by a normal person's beer every now and then. So, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay. So as we get into this, I'm going to recap a little bit where we were. So we have been working on the Meetup integration app that was originated by Todd. And I forget, you told me this last time, Alex Steinwachs, did he do a lot of it, or he kind of laid out the framework and then you took it from there?
It was both of us working together at the same time building it. So it was
you kind of para-coded the first part.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. And then, so we took that, we're generalizing it so that we can put it out on our instance and have, multiple users. And so we've been working on taking some of those hard-coded assumptions. It's the classic one user to many user problem, and we're kind of working on that. When we left off last week, we were working on the integrations, and we actually got to, honestly, you guys are going to have to refresh my memory. We had gotten the groups pulling down, or we had also even we had not gotten events pulling down, but we had gotten groups syncing. Okay. So I worked on it some this week, and let me go ahead and get the screen share working. I will also caveat with the fact that this is the first one of these we've ever done not on Skype. We have switched from Skype to Zoom. So if we can all hit our stop video, and I'll start sharing my screen. And if I can, so there's gonna be a little fumbling here. Not that there was not fumbling with Skype, because there always was. But let's do.
I don't have an image. Okay.
All right, and I should. Okay. All right. I think we are. I think we are golden. And how is everything? Does everybody see my screen? Does it look all right?
It looks good.
Okay. Excellent.
The YouTube is a little cut off.
All right. Let's see.
So
actually,
if you can slide it to the left some, that would be good.
All right. Well, yeah. Let me control this at the window end here. Let's get rid of that thing. Okay. Good enough. I think my window placement in OBS is a little funky, but we'll roll with this. Okay. So
it's looking pretty good.
okay. What we're going to do here now is I'm going to show a little bit that I have nothing up my sleeve here. So on my personal developer instance, and I hope I have not timed out while we've been sitting here. Not impossible. Okay, good. So I've deleted all the meetup events. I've deleted all the groups. So there's nothing on here. If I go back in Studio, I've done, I had what we had before. I had the get groups. I have the create or update group where we pass it some of the kind of the basic information. I took a little bit of a cue here from how Todd was doing things. And, you know, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You'll notice that what I do is I'm doing a glide record. I do a get on it, or I do a query. Sorry, in this one, actually, I'm doing it two ways. I should probably consolidate it into one. In this one, I'm doing a query. If it exists, then I just save this out into the existing record Boolean. And if it exists, if it does not exist, I do a new record and I set the value. And then I set all these values down here because I didn't want to do it twice. I just wanted to set everything one time. And then based on whether or not it was an existing record, I either update or insert. And so creating groups or syncing them. So we saw last time that, like one of those ones that I created with the default name, for example, never changed. It would get information, but it would never change the name and stuff like that. So we've got that. And so I can get the groups and then it loops through. And from that get groups, it's calling the creator update group. Okay. Then I've also got another function that I added, which is get events for group. So passing the URL name, which is kind of the thing that Meetup uses to basically as its atomic bit of information for a lot of this. Given it one group URL name, I can pull down all the events for it. Now, what's happening right now, I'm actually trying to limit it to only the upcoming records. You will see that doesn't in fact work. I'm going to get everything. I don't know why. We may or may not want to spend time on that, or may just treat it as a feature, not a bug that is getting both past and future events. And then, so then it's looping through that, and getting doing a very similar thing, create or update event with the information that it needs for that. Okay. So given all that, and then I've got an outermost, function, which is update events for all groups, where I just query on the groups. And for each one of those groups, I call the function of, events for group. So I basically built this outward piece by piece, right? An update a thing, update one individual thing, and then build an outermost loop. And I did that a couple times. Okay. So now we've got all these guys ready to go. And if I come over here, I think we're queued up and ready to go. So now we're going to drum roll, and I'm just going to instantiate that script include. I'm going to do get groups, and then I'm going to immediately after that update events for all groups. So one of the things that we discussed ahead of time is I do not know what the API rate limit is. It is not impossible I hit it in this. So we may find that the tail end of this gets cut off or gets a 429 response, but I'm going to hit it. So this should do some stuff. All right. And so
I'm super excited to show off that record for rollback sometime soon in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
it is a great feature.
I actually, from demonstration purposes, I probably did this wrong because probably what I wanted to do was do the get groups first because it's slower. Okay. Oh, well, look at that. We created 194 meetups and 50 groups. And you'll see, each one of those things is kind of doing a little bit of logging. You see it pulled down all the groups, and then it's pulling down a bunch of the meetups, right? So now if I go back over here, if we look at the groups, we have our 50 groups. And the one thing I did not do in all this is I didn't create the current event. So that's the thing maybe we can do if it's definitely on the list of things we could do. And if we go over here to Meetup events, you'll see here's all these events. And in fact, I've got them sorted in order. And some of a couple of these groups, for example, like the Chennai, they've got them set up with that automatic, do it bi-monthly thing feature from Meetup. So you'll see a few of these groups are way out. So if we go to right around now, you'll see these are actually the ones. Go down here. We should see the one that happened this week. There's where's Charlotte? Here's Charlotte right here. So Charlotte just happened. It's passed. Sao Paulo happened 2 days ago. It's passed. And here's Copenhagen next Tuesday. It's upcoming. So you'll see,
Yeah.
in fact,
Sounds like reverse order date sort or with status upcoming is the way to go on this.
so yeah, so you see how I'm sorting by date right here. So and you'll see that this is so this is basically working, right? That part of this is working. We're getting the correct we're getting this populated. Almost everything other than the fact, and this is just an oversight on my part, is and in fact, now that I think about it, we may even need to fix this while we're here, depending on how things go. But in here, probably like the one thing I should do in this update event for group is like if there is a scheduled, like whatever the most proximate upcoming event is, I should save that back to the group, because that group record, here's the one problem with Zoom is the Zoom UI is getting in the way of my my browser window here. Drop it down.
Yeah, is that, do you want to solve that at your sync time, or do you want to solve that separately? It doesn't necessarily have to be at the same.
Yeah, I don't know that I actually have strong feelings about that. So we may just do one by hand if it turns out that we need that, because that might be some information that we use by the end of this, by the end of today. So anyway, but the main part of all of that is that we've got that part of the integration working. So we're getting live actual data. Now, given any one of these meetups, we can then sync the RSVPs, right? And let's go ahead and just show kind of where we were at before. And then now I have to go back and get the actual function. Is it sync event for the glide record? And this is also another thing that we might think about, is that like now at this point, this is like the one thing that's passing around a glide record. And I don't know if that consistency matters to us, but so I'm going to go and let's get that Copenhagen record. And to show that I am just the laziest man alive, I'm just going to leave all this stuff in here and just comment it out, because I can't be bothered to even get rid of it. And now I need a glide record. GR equals new glide record. And I need it of type meetup, which again is, I need it of an event. And the odds of me remembering the scope correctly are low. Let me go ahead and get the sys-ID while we're looking at that. Where's Copenhagen? You'll first get the copy sys-ID. I'm just going to copy that over here for a second. Now, X and C dev meet. All right, so let's instantiate that glide record. Let's do a get. We're just doing this to actually get that Copenhagen record, and then we're going to sync it. So we have one kind of synced with some RSVPs just to show that happening. And we got to sync it with the GR. Okay. So run that. My sync did not work. Oh, invalid group URL name null. Interesting. Did we not set the URL name
for that
Copenhagen? It looks like it's there. I mean, they're all there.
Wait, you grabbed the ID for the Copenhagen?
Oh, did I even grab it for the meet? No. Well, let's see. Meetup. Let's make sure that I grabbed it for the event, which is what I want, right?
Okay.
Copy sys-ID. That's the event. Is that the same thing? D45. That is the same thing.
Yeah.
So I got the event. I'm syncing the event.
Wait, so were you querying the right table there?
Maybe not. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm getting event, and the event is the ID of the event .gr. The URL name. Well, let's,
Debugging.
we don't need to hypothesize here. Let's see what the heck is actually in there. All right, so we'll do this one more time. Waiting on that. All right. And are we stopped? It looks like we are. Okay. So URL name is coming in.
Chuck's at Dragon Con.
And all this stuff. Interestingly enough, I am not actually seeing that in there. So let's see this. URL name. Am I missing it? We've been over that. Set parameter. .gr. Oh, it's the URL name of the parent. You are correct, Todd. So it's the URL name of the parent. Let's make sure. So it's dot walking back up to the parent. And let's make sure that when we look up in here that got correctly instantiated, where Copenhagen has the meetup set, and that looks like it should be right. That looks correct to me. It has that set in there. Yeah. So let's go to script debugger. And let's look at the response body. Invalid group URL name null. And in fact, I'm not even seeing
anything
that variable in the local debugger. That seems kind of weird to me. What about you guys?
So which variable are you looking for?
This variable, URL name.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not in there. Is that because it's erroring out? I mean, that's the error we were getting, right?
Event GR. Yeah, that's.
So does Event GR have that? Group undefined.
Undefined. Group is undefined. That would make that completely understandable. So am I not correctly tying the, am I, do I have a big oversight here in this, in that these are not being tied to the parent?
Right.
There's a way to tell, which is
open one up.
Open one up. And look.
They don't have their groups.
They don't have the group.
Okay.
Right.
That'll do it every time, right?
That's a big problem. All right. So get events for group. So we create or update that. So let us just, we get events for group, but I'm passing it the URL name, but I want the sysid and the URL name, really, because if I just had the sysid, and let's not be obscure, group sysid, and that it would be easy enough to just stick that in there, right? And then let's call it group sysid. And then where I'm calling get events for group would be in this get events for group. And this would be easy enough to do gr.get unique value. And then in the create or update event, I need one final thing, which is group sysid. There you go. And set value. Is it group? This is where, oh, it's right there. Is it called group? Yes. Reference called group. All right. Group sys ID. Now let's flirt with possibly hitting the rate limit again.
All right. Go grab them all. It'll be okay.
What I'm going to do is actually, I'm not going to sync the groups again, so I can save myself 50. I guess it's really only one call, but let's delete that. This will take a second. So the thing that we're ultimately getting to is we want to make sure that we've got some good populated data, because what we want to do is then look and see what the state of the service portal check-in widget is. And so this is one of those things, like in the original one that Alex and Todd did, like the very first work that we did was kind of taking things that were set as properties of the app, which was the ID of the event and the API key and things like that. And we moved them, like that event ID out of the property into the data model, so that became an aspect of the group and the event. So now, like for sure, right now as it exists, that service portal widget won't work, because the property it's looking for, the property it's looking for is not there. So we need to get it a different way. So we're going to, at the very least, need a, we're going to need some form of picker, or some way of like saying this is the meetup that I'm checking in for. I'm not going to worry about everything older than 2018. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to sync again. Let's go back over here.
Uncomment some lines.
Comment that. Let's actually leave both of those in there. No, that won't work because I've already. I'm gonna get a different SysID. So let's just go ahead and let's update events for that again. Let's cancel the one. Ah, shoot. Let's cancel that. And let's run that. Let's update events for all groups. Should get our 90 some events back up. To Philip's question, like, I'm not sure why I would use get element. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure if there's an advantage to it. It may be that I just don't know that. For the dot walking, like the reference record is like what I'm looking for. Is there an advantage to get element? Which there may be. Invalid group. There's one invalid group, but it looks like the rest of it seems to be working. So let's refresh this list and see, do we get everybody back? And then let's go back and look at our Copenhagen meetup, which is this next one. Did we correctly? All right, look at that.
Yay, we even attached to the right group. Fancy.
To Copenhagen. All right. Now, if we go back and get this new SysID. And again, you'll note that I'm fumbling on which window is which.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how is that the same? How could that possibly be the same SysID? Didn't I not delete it and recreate it?
It doesn't matter. It's got the group ID.
I'm dubious that it would be the same exact system. It's not possible that it.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Like.
I like
the platform engineers would come and cry all the cries if
that would,
somehow it was the same SysID.
That was freaking me out. All right, let's run this. We should ideally get the RSVPs for this event. All right, so this should have fixed that error that we saw before, other than the fact
that, look, it's a new error.
Undefined property.
You've commented out line 5, and you need to uncomment out line 5.
Yes, that would do it. All right, let's do this. All right.
Hey, so in fact, no errors.
That looks
good. We've got 19 inserts. That feels right. Looking at the meetup.
And you see that here are these, and so this is the people that are there. So these ones right here, these are all the ones that were just created in the last couple minutes. So we got that. So all that is working. So we're back to kind of parity where we are. So at this point, we could basically mirror what's out on meetup.com on our instance. And so that's good. That's not, far from sufficient. So now what we want to do is go down and start tackling our service portal widget. And so, Todd, if I look at this just the widget from here? Is this gonna? Do I need to look at it on the page, or is looking at just the widget from the editor going to show me something sensible?
You can do. I would say, yeah, go from here.
Okay, let's do that.
And then also, it does seem to work. Ish.
All right, let's see. Let's start with where we're at. I actually this is one I did not dig into this at all ahead of time, so we're kind of looking at this one.
And if you could recenter it back up left a little bit more, that would be good once it renders. Yeah, there you go. That's looking better.
All right.
Limited real estate.
Right.
Lots of code.
So there aren't any properties here, so it should be mostly good.
Okay. And so so right here.
That is post grabbing somebody.
That is post grabbing somebody. So let's actually let me hide this and let's just kind of look at what we've got starting here. So we start with the data attendee is loaded, et cetera, et cetera. So this get parameter, so this is pulling it from the page parameter. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's getting the sys-ID of the event we're checking in for.
Right.
So if I set that in here, and this is something I'm kind of a little bit, can I do that in this widget editor? Can I pass this guy default data like that? It's one thing I bumble about in the in here. Can I set that in here and have that work as if it were? Let's try it.
Well, we're happy to have a more service portal expert than you or I on the call today, Dave.
So if I call this sys-ID, question being is it going to work? Nah, because I'm setting up a schema. I'm not setting a value. That's almost certainly not going to work. Is there any way to do this? This is a thing I don't know. So if you're in the chat and you know what's going, you know how I can do that. I'd like to pass basically a page parameter into my preview window here, and I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure if that's even possible from here. All right, so let's I'm not going to worry about that right now. So let's get a little feel for this. It gets the page parameter. So with this, so what they're saying is SP is that I could just, instead of using this, I could just set that. Hard code the sys-ID into client and call update.
Oh, so you're reading it.
Oh,
very good. I don't have to read it for you.
Down at the client side.
I was about to interrupt you. Good job.
So like this, var sys-ID equals this.
Setting as default schema would work.
Let's try that. I actually want to try this because if this works, this will actually make things easier for me. So let's call it. So we'll go back here and call it sys-ID.
Data.sys-ID converts to input.
Okay, let's do that. The default value is this. So if I do that and I reload this, do I have to reload it? Let's just click to save and make it do its business. Is there any way of seeing
hit return to search?
Return to search.
Right.
Let's see.
So that was already working, and I'm not sure what.
Oh, so this is not limited by people who have RSVP'd to that one meetup. This is looking at everybody.
It is. It's looking at the table.
Mm.
And in fact, it's actually not showing up somebody.
Is that a big negative, though?
Yeah, we want to define each one as we're going through it. So we want to define the meetup at each location, right? Okay,
so what Earl is saying is that was not this thing I did in the option schema is not what he was saying. He was saying do all that in the client script.
Client, okay.
So let's just do that down here. See data ID equals. So this is what it'll meant. So, but there's not like a thing in here where there's not a thing in here. Like, are we instantiating, are we pulling up the event from that SysID anywhere in here? The check-in, get the attendees. Maybe we should do that.
No, yeah.
Let's do that in here. Let's get var meetup equals new. And this check-in SysID is, so attendee get, and the SysID is the SysID of the meetup. The check-in is for the SysID of the person we're checking in.
Right.
So we want input dot. Here's the problem is that this thing right here is actually causing a problem because this is not going to do what we're looking in the wrong place for this.
Okay.
So I'm going to undo this guy. I'm just going to, for the purpose of right now, let's just call it var event ID equals. This is not going to live on, but this is, and that should scope across to everything. This should be, we're just going to throw that as basically a top level global deal. Check in. And let's even do this. Let's go ahead and get var event gr equals new. Oh my goodness. You would think I was actually drinking this beer. X. Let's see if I can remember the scope without X and SNC. Is it dev meet meetup? Is that right? Is that right? X SNC dev meet meetup. Holy cow.
Meetup.
Wow.
Meetup. Okay. I would not have bet on that. All right.
There's a lot of meat there.
All right. I'm just going to let that sit there. Event ID. Okay. So at this point, we should have the glide record. And let's just, for fun, let's just, when we're looking at that thing, that top level, that first thing that we saw, Todd, is that would be coming through, not the check-in. Would it be coming through the load attendee, or would it just be coming through none of those? Let's just go ahead and let's just stick that in right here.
It should be load attendees, yeah.
Okay. Data. Let's do that here. Because all I want to do is stick the title of the meetup in. So let's do data dot meetup dot. We're gonna have to provision that, right? Equals and data dot meetup dot name equals gr dot get value name. I think that's right. We'll see. So this is hard coded, and this should be at this point. Oh, I should have turned that on first. So we should get that. Oh, gr var. Oh, because it's event gr. Line 31 is okay. And then down here in the widget, let's just.
No one would be sad if you slid this up a whole inch.
All right. Oops. All right. Let's get rid of client script. Let's get rid of the preview for a second. And so up at the top of this thing, or even, I don't even care. Let's just go crazy and
give it its own spot. Header.
Does not have to be beautiful. It just has to exist on here for a minute to see that we're actually getting the thing.
That's kind of how it was in the first place.
All right.
We
Now
didn't
let's
say it. You did.
Save it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Get
So
hands on.
so that is kind of what we want to see. This is what we're checking into. This is the
Right.
meetup we're checking into. So now what we need to do is we need to look at the server script, because we want to make sure that when we are doing the search, we're limiting it.
Querying the
Yeah.
people who have RSVP'd.
Correct. So we want to query it down to now I have to go back to our data model because I don't remember so we got the attendees and the attendee, developer guest meetup. And we have the
And right now we're just getting any attendee possible, right?
And so we might so like right now, this attendee, the way it's working right now, you're going to get an attendee. Oh, the attendee is a multiple developer member. Okay. So this is an M2M relationship with a few other attributes. Is that right, Todd?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
So
you want to scope it to
we want to say,
meetup,
given
right?
this event, we only want to find
event.
the developers, or I guess anything in this, we want to find the developers that exist
with that meetup.
With this.
Nice. Do you we don't really need to scope it on the RSVP though, do we? I mean,
no, I wouldn't.
If they're in that meetup, that seems close enough.
Even if their RSVP was no, I still want to see them here because that's a possible outcome. All right. So I
wouldn't want to not be able to check them in if they're part of this meetup.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
What were you gonna say, Todd? Did you?
No, that's good. It would solve one of the issues that I have when people can't sign in. It's because they RSVP'd no, or they didn't RSVP at all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we might. So that let's let that use case kind of inform what we're doing here. So let's say for right now, let's look at this, which is the people who sync down as having RSVP'd. Maybe there's another level of search that we can go to, which is you can back up and search everybody who's a member of that meetup. But for now, this first thing we want to do is limit it down because we're looking at the entirety of the table. So where in here is the search? If I look at the client search, so when we go back to this guy and we do return to search, and what is your name? Which one of these guys are we looking at, Todd? What is your name?
Attendee name.
Attendee name?
Yep.
Why am I not seeing it?
Line 7.
Line 7. Okay. All right. So, and then walk me through. We do that, and the client script up here does this return search, and it's passing attendee name up to the server script. And then attendee name is coming through. So where is the actual search happening?
The search is on the first load attendee. So that's named load attendee.
Okay, so this right here.
Yeah.
But it's already got, so sysid that is passing it.
ID from the parameter. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So we've already done that. So we want to, so what I'm saying is what's populating that drop down that we're getting?
It was the parameter that we got rid of back in the day.
Oh, okay. So it was coming down. So I'm getting confused.
Sure. So it was the event ID basically. So saying, okay, this is the event that's coming up, and I would set that event ID, and then the next time that we would sync up, it would be the next event. So it would automatically sync up to the next event for our location, right?
Okay.
So for this, we just have to pass in the event ID for Copenhagen.
Okay. So when I click that thing,
Yeah.
coming through here, I clicked that button.
Right.
And so, and I clicked that button is this one, right? The search.
Return to search.
Return to search. And NG click is return search, which is.
So right now you've already loaded all of that ID in there. You just
window location is /check-in.
Right.
And the /check-in is a different window.
That's the page.
That's the page.
Right. So if you go to your instance ID /check-in, that's the main page.
Okay. So what I'm saying is this thing not in the widget we're looking at? Or am
Yes, this is the widget we're looking at.
I've gotten very confused about where I still am not seeing where we populate these attendees.
Type in a name.
Okay.
They're there. So they're loaded, right?
Correct. So this type ahead is coming off of
the load attendees.
The load attendees.
Attendees.
And so that should be doing a glide record off of that table.
Right.
So if you expand the server script a little bit so we can actually see which table that's on and the query that it's performing.
So really and truly, like right now, it's doing attendee get. If that were a query for, but I still don't. So if that was a query,
right.
This is load attendee is loading a one particular attendee.
And so where is it determining where is it getting this
list? That's the part I'm still missing.
Okay, 1 second. Let me look at here.
This is one of those times where I really wish I could see the code so I could click around some.
Yeah,
we'll get you. I don't know where the things are.
Feels like magic. It feels like something's happening in a thing we're not looking at, honestly.
Okay, let's look at the.
Is there a separate search widget that I'm?
Is that just, so how is that?
I'm going to my studio.
Look ahead defined there. Is that just on that table? Like that's what I'm confused on is there a search defined there at all? Or is it just saying, hey, this is more like a reference field?
Because this load attendee is taking a sysid, looking up one attendee, getting their name, et cetera, et cetera. Is something looping on this joker? Check in. And so that's doing all that. It's not happening in the client script. That's the check. The client script is very sparse.
But not much happening in that client script.
Data attendee status. Blah, blah, blah. Return search.
So where are you defining that box?
It's that is that /check-in like a UI page that's doing that?
Page, yeah. Down at portal pages, go to check-in.
This thing.
Yeah.
That's
okay. This is the one.
It's just the page, right?
Just a page.
With the check-in widget.
With the check-in widget.
So we should have all the control mechanisms already because we already have this.
This is the same thing we were just looking at. Yeah, I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding where that list is coming from still.
Feels like it's just coming from that table without any quantifiers on it.
But even so, we got to be loading it. So somewhere we got to define that table. So is there a place where We're looping over something and populating that because we're that D. So like when we type a letter, it's doing that look ahead query based on like that substring that's in there. So it's got to be doing some kind of query based on the portion of the name we've typed in, right?
Mhm.
Huh.
I thought it was loaded all there at the one time. So one second.
Oh,
So-
did it? Oh,
So is it possible that it is only loading the attendees for that meeting?
Right.
Have you tried like put me in there? Because I'm not in that meetup,
Right.
but I'm definitely in the attendees list for meetups.
okay. Well, let's do this. Let's go
You can
back
close.
Actually, I'll just go back to the widget.
You already have that in another window, don't you?
Nah, it's this window. Once I click the page,
Oh, okay.
it reuses that ID, window ID. All right, so
Yeah, return to search and
So
see if
right
I'm in
there,
there.
it's-
If I'm not in there,
all-
yeah, it's just limiting it to the search. So it is the load attendee,
Right.
and it's
However-
limiting it to that meetup, that particular event.
here's the problem, though, is we're not seeing somebody I know RSVP'd to that one event. We're looking
Right.
at an event, but not the right event.
Yes.
Which
I
event
agree.
are we looking at?
I don't know.
I think maybe we're looking at a random event. Let's do this. Jeff Creveling,
Yeah, which event is he in?
this is your life. Jeff Creveling.
Jeff, you made it on the show. Which event are you in, sir?
Jeff Creveling, he's on the empty event. We're seeing
That's
everybody that has
why.
no event.
So
Yeah.
we didn't actually pass in that
There is no ID.
the ID
Let's do this.
to that function call then.
Let's do this. We're gonna show matching, and we're gonna get
those
rid
Are
of
those the people, all of the people that are in there?
Okay.
those are people that have been pulled down and then have
Not
had
in
their
the
record
event.
deleted.
And
Deleted
ServiceNow
after.
developer program was definitely in there. Yeah.
All right, so we'll get that. So that was kind of giving us a false positive because we were looking at, we don't, ideally we're not going to have all these,
Right.
So these, what we should have seen was nothing. Like we should have seen no.
Yeah, if we weren't passing an event ID properly, then we should have seen nothing.
And now we see nothing for, any.
Oh, nice.
Okay. All right. So that's actually closer.
That's
so
actually promising. So now we just need to pass in the load
Correct.
attendee sys-ID appropriately.
Correct. So if we even did, so now what we need to do, but I still don't see like where that substring thing is happening. Are you saying again, Tyler, you're saying that this will pull up everybody?
Well, I mean, the substring thing should just be native to that object for that's a glide record lookup substring function. Like you don't have to do anything extra for that.
So what we're saying is, so who
We just need to
ultimately-
pass in load attendee sys-ID. We need to actually pass the sys-ID.
So so here's what we do is we just change this from this guy to event ID and it works. Our
Yeah.
hard coded.
Right. That should actually do it.
But this, because we're doing this get, this is the part that I don't understand is it looks like we're pulling up one particular user. How are we getting all the users?
We're getting all the
Yeah.
users for that ID.
Yeah, we're
But you see what I'm saying? So you do attendee.get and you set this stuff.
It's
So
an
how do
array.
you get the second?
You're loading the
Oh,
entire
attendee is
meetup
it?
array.
Oh, okay. I guess I am not familiar with how that worked then.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how. So what is the meet attendees sys-ID that we should be passing in order to be useful?
The event ID.
Okay. So what
Really?
you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. So this is going to look like magic, but I'm
Although
So
it's the meetup
the
event.
meet attendees sys-ID should be the event ID.
The meetup event ID.
all right. So let's do this.
Shouldn't we have to specify that that's the meetup field, not the meetup attendees sys-ID?
Is this magically working? It's not magically working.
We have to define the event, the meetup event ID. And
Okay.
Is that what that is for the event ID there?
That is what that is. Yes, that's the Copenhagen one that we pulled the RSVPs down for.
Right, but we built this is for their Meetup ID, meaning the Meetup.com's Meetup ID. So their 6-digit.
Oh. What you're saying is I'm passing the wrong thing. I'm not passing.
Right.
You want this thing.
ID. Yeah. That.
Oh, okay. That's a whole.
That's a whole different. All right.
That's a whole different ball of wax there.
Here's what we're going to do here. Let's be nice and explicit. All right. So you're saying.
Now we want to pass in, your new Meetup _ID. Yeah. That's the thing that was throwing me off. I was like, that's not the actual SysID of those records on that table.
This is, event ID. Is
the top one you didn't change?
Event. Okay. This is going to be a thing. I can guarantee it, like for the life of this development project, the discrepancy between a SysID and the Meetup ID will never stop. I'm going to trip across this constantly the whole time we do this. It will never stop. All right. So now when I do this, are we going to see? No, we're not. All right. So let me just verify.
Yeah. I'm still struggling with that it's a get on a SysID, but we're passing in an event ID.
Yeah, if it's doing an attendee get. So
it was doing so I think it's the confusion is the terminology of the word SysID, right? So it was the parameter SysID, which was the ID for the meetup.
Right. But if I'm doing an attendee.get, shouldn't I be passing a field that I care about? That's the Meetup IDs field to that I'm going to send it the ID, the Meetup ID I care about, and not a get on just SysID, because I'm not sending it a SysID.
Right. So
I'm sending it the Meetup ID, which is not the SysID. So I should be sending get a field in addition to the SysID. Right, Todd?
The SysID is the event ID.
Right. But if I'm going to do a get and I'm doing a get against something that's not a SysID, I need to send it a field to get the correct records.
Right. Okay.
What if we so if we switch this, let's get a little of the auto magic out of here.
Yeah.
Let's set let's add query. What we're saying, so what's the explicit query we want this to be? We want to say, so at this point, and let's change this terminology because we're actually passing it the Meetup ID now, right? Add query, and let's make sure that our our Meetup. See, but even now we've got the Meetup. See, that's definitely like that. This is a reference to a Meetup, not even that Meetup ID. So I think we're going to switch this back to SysID. So Philip is saying get the Meetup ID on the event, but we don't need. Well, that's we can do that, but we've already got We've already got the thing we want. So at this point, this is the Meetup. I'm even going to call it this Meetup SysID.
Todd, if we're off base, jump in here because so let me ask a different question. Is load attendees supposed to load an array of attendees, or is it just going to load one?
No, it's supposed to load the array.
And is it loading an array of them one at a time per function call, or is it supposed to load all of them in mass?
All of them.
Yeah, that is, so is that what get does?
Get doesn't do that. Get does a one.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that is actually befuddling me how it works.
That's why I'm struggling here. Is I'm like, gets one record. If I'm calling a load attendee multiple times to build a group of things, that's fine. But yeah, that I am struggling too here because I use get a lot, and get just gets one.
So, but even so, attendee, see, like right now we're still returning one thing.
Yeah, that's just yeah, that's what
I feel like I'm really messing this up here.
Yeah, I'm not feeling strong about this either.
I'm going to undo everything because what I just did can't be positive here.
Okay.
Yeah. How is this working? That's what I want to know. Because if I knew how it worked before, I could make it work now. What can I hard code in to just get something useful?
So it's not, and it's definitely because it was being driven off the data. It was populating that array. The load attendee was, and this was sysid. So this is where it was.
What can I send load attendee that will actually get me returns right now, Todd?
So attendee.get, out of curiosity.
We took out the parameter that we took out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was doing that. So it's looking for that old parameter that which was the ID for the next meetup. So from the whatever the number is, 2754 whatever.
Okay. And so this parameter.
Yep.
So this thing right here. Right. But so here.
So it gets that ID, gets that sysid, and then it gets the data.meetup for that group. So that for that entire meetup for that ID, it'll get back all those results.
All right, here's what we're going to do for our sanity. Let's just see what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So if we come over here and pass in this ID, and then do we're going to want a JSON to string. So at that point, attendee, can I do an attendee to
ID on that table? Hold on.
Attendee, can I do a stringify type thing to this? That will be that'll be an array of glide records. Is that right?
It shouldn't be an array of glide records.
This
should be one glide record.
Should be one attendee out of that table.
Yes. Now, I think what we're getting hung up on is that field is only ever going to get one attendee at a time, but the look ahead will look at that table.
Right.
Okay. I think that's what we're getting hung up on, is we're passing the sysid of that user to that field when we select them, which I think is what matters here.
Right. I'm still trying to figure out where the population.
I don't think I don't think it's scoping it off of our events through load attendees.
I'm trying. Yeah, I do not. I still, this is my big problem. Is I don't understand where the look ahead's coming from.
It is doing some scoping on that event, but because we validated that, but it's not scoping it off of load attendees.
Is it coming? Is one of these guys doing it? If data is not load attendee, if parameter.
Yeah.
It's got to be some. So I'm going to
family time.
It is about wrap up time, Dave.
It is wrap up time.
But
so let's see if we can get this to. So I'm just trying to. So this is the part up here.
So we
Well, that's
weren't sending it anything, and then therefore it was showing us the people who didn't have an event.
Right.
So there's something that is scoping those lookups, but we're not sure what that is at the moment, because the function load attendee isn't what appears to be scoping it directly.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. My mind's kind of blown. Yeah, this is, so I'm gonna have to spend some time with this just to figure this out a little bit more.
So am
I. All right, so I think we're gonna have to put this on the lift and reverse engineer this a little bit. So this is not, we're kind of in the position of, like, let's say you found, certainly I have found this, right? When you get a piece of Angular code out in the world and you want to pull it into a service portal widget. And I've had this happen. Like the Angular widget is doing everything just right. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why it's doing it just right. Because as I'm trying to adapt it to my use, I'm not doing it just right. And somehow I'm missing some subtle thing.
Yeah. So I think that the first thing to do that we'll do offline is just look at the existing working version that was hard coded, not hard coded, but essentially hard coded to a single event. Look at how that was scoping it, make sure it was scoping it, and then see how it was doing that. And then we can modify this next time.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically like undo everything I've done to this, and get it back to stock.
Right.
Start over and see if I can figure out. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you guys accounts on mine, and then you can.
That would be very handy.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, and Earl is saying we must not be passing user ID. We're passing an event ID, and it returns all users in that event, which is why blank returned attendees without events. But the thing is, I still don't see the building of an array. That's the part that's
that I'm struggling with that, because a single get is only going to get one record.
Like at no point do I see an array like even being instantiated. So I don't understand where the data and the dropdowns come from.
So let's recap what we did today, which was we successfully pulled down the events. We successfully attached those events to groups, and we have previously gotten the attendees for events.
Correct. So we've got that. I mean, we got a lot of it happening. Now the part of the meat of all this stuff is getting to check-in point.
Right.
So check-in, we've got to get the check-in widget in our basically our multi-tenant type world, because where it is right now, it has this assumption that we can't rely on. So the ultimate thing that we're talking about beforehand
is allowing us to choose in our widget which event we would like to check people in for, and then have that instantiation of that widget be just for that event.
Tell you what, I'm going to stop the share, and then we'll turn cameras back on. We'll just have a really quick design decision. Yeah. So ultimately, I can understand the picker. I understand. And I think maybe what we do is maybe have the widget, like the two widget on the page type organization, where you have basically the picker, and then maybe the picker broadcasts that I have selected a widget.
Yep.
And then when we do that, that becomes the parameter to that other widget. And so that takes the role of this SP get parameter is
right.
The picker widget has selected one.
You choose which filter.
You choose the one, which like as we were talking before, there's no ACL. There's no, like right now, anyone who's on this instance has, sees all the data. So maybe we have ACLs or something like that, so that you only see a subset that you're somehow or another we would control that down. So you're not seeing every possible meetup. You're seeing the ones which for most people will be a very small set or one meetup.
Right.
And they pick that one that they have access to. The act of picking it broadcasts a sysid. That sysid then, is received by the other widget. It reloads, and then it begins doing all that stuff.
It's life of checking users in.
At the risk of taking a thing correctly working and basically re-implementing it, I may just do that in a way that I actually understand. Because what I might do is like take this and just like add another thing that is low, fill from RSVPs. And Philip was talking about search sources. I wonder if there's a way to use that with. I don't know that much about how to do that kind of stuff.
Speaking of that,
the is that something? Is that the magic that we're missing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That is the magic. So that is the search source.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me.
All right, Philip, you are the winner.
You win a drink today.
Oh, geez.
The magic we could not figure out was in fact search source. So the search source is set to that table.
Right.
And the parameter is set to something.
Yeah.
And so we're limiting it based on that SP get parameter.
Is that not in the repo? Is that, hold on, sorry. Because I didn't see that on here.
It's definitely,
I didn't see it when you were looking through.
Do you set that? I don't know where you define that search sources. Like, so this
that's got to be loaded separate. Okay.
Oh, so that's another thing that like on the page would be different than on the like the widget in preview mode, because if that's an aspect of the page, like the widget didn't have that. So, okay.
There we go.
So okay. That's so much.
That makes me feel so much better. Like 7 times better right there.
Right. I'm gonna.
And I know you said that a while ago, Philip, but it took us a minute. We got there.
So y'all know Clark's law, right? Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. At the risk of being big-headed, I'm going to coin Slusher's law right now, which is any working code that you don't understand is indistinguishable from a bug.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so that's
all right.
So
it's time to wrap up and review.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do from here is my next step is going to be, even if it's less elegant, this goes back to the drum I always beat, which is explicit versus implicit, and then like the search sources thing is completely implicit, and I may do an explicit thing where we do exactly that, where we load the RSVPs. Given that we'll know the sysid or some identifying aspect of the meetup,
right?
Load everybody who's RSVP'd. We have that from the attendee table,
and then give it a checkbox. Just get a checkbox for all the attendees,
something like that, or even just populate that same thing. Even just populate.
I wouldn't even do a search. Just a checkbox. Check them in. I mean, a person at the front door.
Oh,
just click next to the people who are checking in.
I actually like that as a UI, which is to say, instead of having that like one by one search, give the list of all the RSVPs.
Yeah.
And
we know who they are.
And a button next to them.
Check them in.
Right. And they're like their picture. We'll have their picture from everything, right? Yeah. And so you can actually look at that. Okay, so we can actually alter the UI of this thing while keeping the basic idea of it. Okay, I like that idea a lot. And then possibly we keep the search thing there. And what the search does is it searches. So the search thing.
The search will search the meetup.
It'll search the meetup members.
And it'll add them to the RSVP list. Right. And then you can check them in.
That solves Todd's problem of the person who didn't RSVP but shows up anyway.
Right.
Who's not in that list. So now we can get everybody, but you just get the convenience one click for the people who did in fact RSVP.
I like it.
Okay. All right, let's go around the horn.
All right. Well, the Allagash Golden Ale. It is a good solid golden ale. It's a 4.
All right. Nice.
The bourbon barrels really gives it the extra little puts it in that top category.
There you go.
What you got, Todd?
So the Funky Buddha wheat beer, Hefeweizen. It's the Floridian, of course, Florida.
Who doesn't want to have a Hefeweizen today?
It's pretty good. It made me forget my search source, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it 5. No, it's a solid 4. It's pretty
nice.
That should actually be a component of the rating. Is like number of typos.
How much did it impair you on the show today?
Like, how bad was the coding effort? It's inversely, like the rating of the beer is inversely correlated with the quality of the code. And my Folded Mountain, I have no idea. I know I've done this one before. I have no idea the consistency of the rating. I'm gonna give it 3.75. As we know,
3.75.
The rating is a many to many, right? It's
yes.
It's not an attribute of the thing. It's an attribute of the time, and you can have a wide swash. I think we said like the biggest swing we've ever had. Like I've gone and looked at a thing, and it's like 0.75 different from the last time I rated it.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big difference.
So a lot of it has to do with context. So all right, with that, again, let us congratulate Andrew. The next time we meet, Andrew will be on my team. You'll be on board in the tent.
In the tent.
And
next week.
Todd, thank you again for all this. Todd and I, we have a little Skunkworks team that's taking this forward. And so we're it is to my complete failure at SDLC that I didn't parse this out into. I'm clearly not a project manager. I'm trying to break this down into a task for everybody to run with, and I did a terrible job this week. We'll do better next week.
Todd, fix the widget.
Todd, fix the widget, and we like it. Well, we do appreciate your time again, graciously given today, Todd.
No problem.
All right, and thanks everybody in the U.S. Enjoy your holiday, and everybody in the rest of the world enjoy Monday.
Have a great holiday, everyone.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye guys.
And again, I'm going to be fumbling around looking for where the button is because I don't know which of the many.
Where's the button?
Where